A constitutional test is unfolding across America. From Chicago to Portland, federal troops are being deployed, sometimes without full consent from local governments. Lawsuits are mounting. Governors are defiant.
The state of Illinois filed a lawsuit challenging Donald Trump's unlawful and unwarranted plans to deploy armed military troops to Chicago.
And judges are warning of overreach. But these acts also raise deeper questions about the U.S. law, state sovereignty, and what precedent this sets both at home and abroad. The federal government argues these deployments are necessary to protect federal buildings, manage unrest, and support law enforcement. But critics say this crosses a long-standing boundary: the right of U.S. states to control their own law enforcement and public safety decisions. In Oregon, a federal judge described a similar order as untethered in reality and law. And Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker called the move an invasion of state authority.
There is no invasion here. There is no insurrection here. And local and state law enforcement are on the job and managing what they need to.
At the heart of this dispute are two central laws: the Posse Comitatus Act, which prohibits the U.S. military from acting as domestic police, and the Insurrection Act, which lets the president deploy troops during cases of rebellion or lawless obstruction. The question is whether today's use of troops fits either definition. For constitutional lawyers, this is a stress test of U.S. federalism: how far Washington can go before crossing into powers reserved for states. Historically, the Insurrection Act has been invoked sparingly. For instance, during the 1992 Los Angeles riots and the civil rights crisis of the 1960s. But using it for immigration and protest control marks new ground. Some legal scholars say it sets a precedent that could expand executive authority long after this administration. And this debate isn't unique to the United States. Across Africa, similar clashes play out between local governance and central authority. In Nigeria, the EndSARS protests of October 2020 began as a movement against police brutality, but escalated when troops opened fire at the Lekki toll gate. That moment sparked nationwide reckoning about military roles in civilian matters. In Kenya, the 2024 and 2025 anti-finance bill protests saw police and national units confronting demonstrators who were angry over rising taxes and governance failures. The government justified its use of force as a way to maintain order, but for many Kenyans, including some that I spoke to, it symbolized how state power responds to citizen dissent. These parallels show that questions of legal authority, state versus federal control, and civil liberties are not unique to the United States. They reflect ongoing governance tensions that happen globally. Deployments of this kind come with cost. Financially, maintaining troops in urban settings involves transport, logistics, coordination, and oversight, often under federal funding but with state cooperation needed. Federal officials justify the deployments as emergency support to protect federal property, relieve exhausted police forces, and secure key infrastructure. But there are also reports from local officials and public leaders about confusion, lack of communication, and concern about civil rights.
The federal government has not communicated with our state in any way whatsoever about what their troop movements are going to be. I can't believe I have to say troop movements in a city in the United States, but that is what we're talking about. We're getting no information from them. They willy-nilly run over people's rights. They're pulling people out of their houses. They're asking them for proof of citizenship because they're brown or black.
These deployments raise deeper questions about how American governance works. When federal and state leaders clash over troop use, where exactly are the legal boundaries? Do moments like this change how sovereignty and public safety are understood inside the United States? And in the end, how can any democracy balance security with civil rights when politics and law start to overlap?